everybody stand and do the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to be seating John Allen in for Gary Garofalo as an alternate. And we do not have any elections of any new officers?
No.
None, okay. Outstanding applications? None? For the record, there's none. New applications that will be submitted is gonna be application number 25-0505-0505-ZC. Address is 92 Glen Lane, Southbury, Connecticut. Looking to be scheduled for the next meeting, which is approximately June 3rd, 2025.
Mark, just one question, one statement, is that the application was not on the filed agenda, so
Oh,
you
we're
just have
accepting
to.
it.
Correct, so you
We're
just have to
accepting
vote
it.
the application in, on the agenda.
Right, we accepted it electronically.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to make a motion to accept it here.
I make a motion to accept it here. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please state your name.
Leonard Livonia.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I open the public hearing. And
We have to vote on it.
all in favor? Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
wow. All right, 137 Coon Road, Southbury, Connecticut, 06488. Miss Albert Jan Laurie and Mr. Eric David, which is the applicant owner, and Mr. Robert Trezia of Connecticut Solar Power is representing the owner, is applying for a variance in section 13.6 to zoning regulations. He seeks approval for construction of solar array on Lot 6, which the owner owns in continuum with Lot 8 that is bisected by a 50% owned driveway, site plan provided with this application. So at this time, I'd like to ask all officers present that have reviewed this application before, to please state your name in the verdict. Have you seen, has anybody looked at this as a new business? So we basically don't then, we don't have anybody.
Mark, are you opening the public hearing for this application?
I thought I, didn't I?
So we're just opening the public hearing right now?
Correct, didn't we do that? And all in favor?
No, that was for the new application that came in for 25-0505-ZC.
So now we're opening the public hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Is there, at this time, I'm asking any officers that have reviewed this application that need to recuse themselves from this for any reason? Let the record show nobody is recusing themselves. Okay, so at this time, the applicant
Thank you.
and anybody representing the applicant,
Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals,
please state your name and address, please.
my name is Franklin Pillacy of 235 Main Street, Watertown, Connecticut. I'll repeat, Franklin Pillacy, 235 Main Street, Watertown, Connecticut. I am a land use attorney, and I am here representing the applicant. And as stated, the applicant is Mrs. Albert Jan Laurie and Mr. Albert Eric David. And together with me tonight is Attorney Jillian Judd, and Robert Trezor will also be involved in the presentation. Jan Albert is also present and may or may not choose to speak or answer questions as we move forward. But specifically, as you know, the function of the Zoning Board of Appeals is to deal with situations where there is a unique situation, sometimes called a hardship, It impacts some properties in a different manner than other properties. And the role, as you know, of the Zoning Board of Appeals is that any town in Connecticut that has a Planning and Zoning Commission must have a Zoning Board of Appeals. And the purpose of a Zoning Board of Appeals, as they stay in the zoning books, is to make sure that the zoning scheme, so to speak, runs on an even keel, where the Zoning Board of Appeals can step in and assist in these unusual situations that do amount to a particular hardship. In this case, this property owns two properties and is committed to using the two properties in conjunction with one another. But under your regulations, because there is a common driveway that separates the two properties as they show on the subdivision map, then a variance is required because there will be a crossing or a use of the second parcel. Now, the second parcel, Lot 6, is an approved subdivision lot, but it's not a really great subdivision lot. And for purposes of siting a house on that lot, due to the topography and so forth, it would actually be quite a challenge. So what the owner of that lot is choosing to do is to install a small solar panel array that will support Lot 9, where the main house is built. 8. And there is a utility connection that will be made from 6 to 8, and that utility connection is authorized under a utility easement that is part of the driveway easement, and we will submit a copy of that easement for the record, along with a lot of this property. Now, again, in Connecticut, particularly at the legislative level, there is favorable legislation. Again, this year, there was favorable legislation telling us that solar panels are things that ought to be pursued wherever possible and wherever practical. Here, the way, and Robert will tell you about this, he's the expert as far as citing these solar panel situations. But the way he will show you, along with some pictures that we will submit, that if this solar array is established where it's proposed, it will not be visible from almost anywhere except up in the air, because this lot 6 slopes down rather steeply, but it's significantly below Lot 9, which is the adjoining lot, and if it's sited where it's proposed, it will not be seen from any other lot. So taking into account the difficulty to use this lot for its intended purposes of a residential home, and the fact that the solar panels will really be an extension or an accessory to Lot 8, we believe that this is a sufficiently unique situation as to constitute a hardship that would authorize you to grant the variance that's being requested. So with that, I'd ask Robert to come up and tell you about the solar panels specifically, and we will also provide for your record some pictures. You have the maps, right?
Correct.
Can I see that? Yeah, I'd like to.
Each of these packages has a copy of the maps, also has the deed of this lot, and a copy of the utility easement that is part of the driveway.
Is this the proposed panel that you're looking to construct on that property, that size, that?
This size, but we're gonna do a low profile one, so it's only 7'3" in the back. This one is much taller, it's much bigger. but just-
Also, do we have any correspondence abutting the property that need to be submitted?
They already have them, they've been provided to you.
All right.
Good evening, my name's Rob Trezza from Connecticut Solar Power. I am from New Milford, Connecticut. I have a solar license in the state for 19 years. I'm a local contractor. I'm here to help Jan try to build a system that will support their energy needs at their house. We're using, American-made products, just the racking, the inverters. The panels are some of the best panels. They're bifacial panels, so they produce a lot more power. And to keep the array footprint small, low profile, so it's not seen. And there's, you know, a bunch of weeds there that, and plantings that are gonna hide the array, because the north side faces that road. The lot that they built their house on is really steep, and to build an array would, it's just really not a suitable lot over there, or a space to put it. So the property, you know, they bought this two lots in the same small subdivision. They'd like to use them. I think, you know, she's trying, good intentions moving forward, trying to do a green thing and help the environment. And I think we're trying to build a good product for her. Anything else? You guys have any questions?
Franklin Pillacy again, I'd like to submit for the record some pictures that were taken from the accessway that look out over Lot 6, and it shows that that Lot 6 is well below grade, so that a 7-foot high or 7.5-foot high solar array cannot be seen from the common driveway or from any place else in this area. So nobody's really gonna ever see it again unless you're up in the air looking down.
What about, Mark Kane, Chair, what about as far as visual as entering the lot and seeing it on your right-hand side as you?
As you go up the hill and you're entering the lot, you may get a quick glimpse of it, but even that entryway is overgrown with natural growth. So there's a very small window, so to speak, where you may be able to see it if you're looking for it. But
There's a
for the
lot of
most part,
growth in that lot there. When you pull up the road there, it's all overgrown in there. I don't think you're, especially once the array is built and no one now people are pulling in and out of that driveway. Once that gets overgrown there, it's gonna be behind, what is the setback, 50 foot of overgrowth there. Because it is, the array is facing the opposite direction. So that's the back side of the array is towards the road.
Can I ask?
I was gonna
go
say,
ahead.
hold on one second.
Yep, sorry.
What I'd like to do now is open up the floor to the board members for any questioning, but just as a reminder, before you ask the question, please state your name. Go ahead.
Jason Edwards for the record. Just, why can't this be sited on the lot, it's on Lot 8?
There is,
It seems like a higher location. Wouldn't you want to be higher for your solar?
yeah, but the topographic, it is really hilly anywhere else in that property.
I mean, this is steeper on lot, where you're putting it is far steeper than on top of that hill, based
Well,
on
it
this
goes
map.
down and there is a little plateau there. It's not big enough for a house. But right where.
I mean, it's far flatter up on top of the hill on Lot 8 than it is down on the side of this slope on Lot 9. Or 6,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but the only the driveway is in there, and the only corner is all the way in the back left, which is, you know, it gets,
Okay. Why does it have to be in a corner?
what's that?
Why does it have to be in a corner?
I mean, they don't want to put it in the front yard next to the pool.
Okay, so they don't want to look at it either.
No, it just does, I mean, that would be more of an eyesore for the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't
You
mean
know.
to say it that way, I just was thinking out loud. Now, who owns Lot 7?
I do.
Okay. And how about Lot 9?
I'm sorry, I own a lot 9.
You, Lot 9, okay, so you own the one in the back then? So this would be crossing the,
I have a lot that's right adjacent to this, and a lot that bifurcates
Yeah.
33, 35.
Can we, hold on, no, because we're gonna need, we'll open it
Yeah.
up for them, or
Just-
you need to address the,
do we have the actual easement language for the, is that the full easement language?
Copy of the easement is,
That's the full language of it here?
it's.
Doesn't seem to describe much.
Attached to deed.
I'm just curious, the underlying land, I have a access easement for my home in South Bay. And the guy in front of me owns the underlying land. I have an easement over it. Is that the
Frank-
same here?
Franklin Pillacy again. The easement is a common easement owned by 9 and 8. And it's a joint access easement and utility easement. So what's proposed is if the solar array is approved, and established, there'll be one connection that will be cut across the driveway, and to the utility box for Lot 8. But there is an easement that authorizes that. It's titled driveway easement over Lot 9, and it's dated July 25th, 2016, and it's recorded in Book 657, page 906 of the Southbury Land Records. If you don't have that, it should be attached to everything, but I'll submit it.
I just didn't read it fully here.
These are the other two pages, but I believe everybody has it.
And that, Mark Kane, the chair, that was granted due to the access to the transformer that's there to supply power to that lot, correct?
Yes, and we're going to supplement that power with the solar array if it's approved and established.
All right, so my question to you as the applicant is, where is the hardship here? If you can give me in detail, what is exactly the hardship that is making these solar panels have to go on this side of the driveway, not on the roof of the house, not in the front yard?
Well, the hardship is.
Excuse me. If you're going to speak, can you do it in front of the microphone or the one that I handed you?
There's really two parts to the hardship. The hardship is grounded in the conditions topographically of Lot 8, where the main house is already constructed, but it's also grounded in the fact that Lot 6, which is proposed to service this accessory facility, is not suitable for the type of residential development that is found in this particular subdivision. That lot, it would be almost impossible to build a house on that lot because of the steep topography of that lot. There is a small platform area where the solar array can easily be located and easily be hidden again, but it's not suitable for a house on that subdivision lot. So therefore, variance law tells us that any piece of property that's zoned for its particular purpose, there must be some reasonable use of that property, and if there is not, then that is where a variance is warranted, where it ought to be granted to support some reasonable use of the property. The reasonable use of this property is to support the accessory use that is proposed for Lot 8. So we feel that there is more than a justifiable hardship that could support the granting of this variance. It's part of Lot 8 and really part of Lot 6. It is, which makes it even more unique because you have a little bit, part of the hardship's on 8 and part of the hardship is on 6.
John Allen, can you put these panels on the roof of this house to accommodate what they need for power?
It is a possibility. A lot of companies prefer and owners don't want to put them on metal roofs because the way the roofs are attached. So there's a concern there. And it's not a good, it's, on the other lot, on a ground mount would be is a better performing system.
But you could power the house with the solar
No, there's
panels
not
on the
enough-
roof.
There is not enough room.
So what you're saying is that there is absolutely no way you could put these on her roof to power the house?
Correct, it would not meet her needs. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to meet their electrical demand with a system that is sized accordingly.
And do you have the printout of all that calculations?
Yeah, on my design work at home, I didn't bring it because I didn't.
Because I would like to see the load and what they're trying to use it for as well. If you have all those
I
calculations.
mean, they're there to support the loads of the house. You know, I mean, the system will produce as many kilowatt hours a year as what they use in the house. So you need.
I understand how solar works, so I'm just
Okay.
trying to figure out how the system wouldn't work for on top of their roofs.
I'm not saying it wouldn't work, but it wouldn't meet their full needs.
So what is the full load of the home?
25,000 kilowatt.
And what can you get out of, what are you trying to get out of this system right here?
It's doing 105% of their usage.
So what you're saying is if you put it on the roof, they would only
Meet-
get a
it might meet, like-
27 out of 100?
No, they would
Kilowatt?
probably, they would probably meet like 50%.
50%.
So their electric bill would still be, you know, $1,000 a month or whatever it is now.
Okay. I would still like to see those loads because,
Sure.
that's the only one. Yeah.
Mark Kane, looking at Lot 8 in the entry into this lot, there's a substantial amount of property that's there. I mean, you're looking at 4.5 acres. What is making it to where these panels have to be on this lot? I mean, I understand Attorney Pelosi had stated that lot number 6 is unbuildable, but looking at the topography on here, I'm not really seeing something that makes this lot unbuildable. But even if it was unbuildable, I'm sure this was a recognition of this property when it was purchased, that it was unbuildable. But I'm just trying to understand out of 4.5226 acres, why this structure, even if it had to be partially on the house and partially on the ground. I'm struggling to see the hardship is where I'm at, honestly.
Well, I mean, they bought this lot and they would like to use it for a purpose, and that's what her desire was to do with it, you know, and, you know, the hardship, I don't know at what level needs to be met. You know, it has to be like devastating, or that it just doesn't make sense on their property there, with their, you know, with the way the land is, the tree covers, the shading, you know. On the other lot, there's no trees, there's no shading, it's all brush, you know, so the solar access gain, you know, is, you know, trees and shading are very bad for the performance of the system. You know, when you have 25% shading, you need an array that's double the size, you know, so it makes the best sense, because that spot with all of the trees and stuff, it doesn't make sense there. It's, you know,
Mark Kane again. What's the ideal direction of these solar panels, not just pertaining to this, but in general?
180 degrees to
No,
190.
the direction, northeast, southwest, north, south.
Due south.
I got another question. You're done, Mark?
Yeah, state your name, please.
Just to, I'm Jason Edwards for the record. Just to clarify, Lot 6 was an approved lot in the subdivision, correct? So it was deemed buildable when the subdivision was completed in 2017?
I believe so.
So there's test holes, there's a septic area, there was a well area identified, a feasible plan had to be displayed as part of the subdivision, probably?
Probably, yes.
So it is buildable.
At what budget? I mean, that's,
I mean, it's not that steep. I mean,
Yeah, but you guys
I've seen
keep saying
people-
that it's not.
It's also
not-
wetlands.
I know, but
Hold on.
I'm all done, I'm good.
State your name. Here.
John,
Oops, sorry.
John Allen Jr., I know you keep saying that it's unbuildable, but at the same point, you just confirmed that it is buildable. And that's, you guys are lawyers? You
I am
know,
not a
or,
lawyer.
you know, it's,
I am not a lawyer,
okay.
unless all the kind.
This lot was approved with, you know, setbacks, wells, stuff like that. It is a buildable lot. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
One more question. I assume the topography that's on this plan that you've given us is accurate? So today's, I mean, I don't see the driveway constructed on here, unless I'm mistaken, but it is?
It's hard to see.
Oh, it's over here, okay, it's farther away than I thought, yeah, I got you. But the topography has not been changed, it looks like
Best
this
of my
today.
knowledge,
Okay.
it has not, no.
Just making sure. It looks like you got almost 20 feet of slope across your solar array, so you're gonna have to regrade the whole site to flatten it?
There was some, I don't think so, no. There is a spot there spinning this
You're
direction.
going from 5, 6, what are we at?
Well, it goes from, yeah,
Yeah,
like 5 to 520.
530 down to 5,
Well, 522, 24, maybe 526.
yeah, down to, what is down there?
Yeah,
That's 510, so 16 feet across your solar array. You're showing it only gonna be 9 feet high or something?
Yeah, there's fill in there now.
So that's,
There is a spot,
so they created the flat area that you could build
I
on?
believe so. I mean, they put fill in there.
So they already constructed a pad for a structure?
No, there's no pad there.
It sounds like it's
It's
buildable.
where the driveway comes in. They started to build a driveway in there. That's where it is. Where, it's not shown on lot 6, but where they showed the property, they made a road there.
Okay, that's fair, I understood. That's my point being, though, that it's not that steep.
Yeah, for the first 30
Well,
feet.
where you're gonna put the solar array is not that steep because they flattened it. They'd have to.
Yeah, but you couldn't put a house there.
It's 90 by 12, I mean, that's what, wow, that's a decent size right there, another 20 feet. You
Who
could
builds
probably
a
do it.
16-foot wide house?
Well, you don't, but you have a walkout basement in the back and maybe you build a
Exactly.
30-foot wide house.
Nobody does.
Yeah, you build a 30-foot wide house. You have an exposed wall in the rear.
But I think we're
Yeah.
getting away from the subject
Yeah.
here. I don't think we should be talking about lot 6 as far as being buildable. I think where we should be is that whether or not this solar array should be there or not be there.
Yeah.
We can have a debate about this thing all day long, but it has nothing pertaining to. So at this time, I would like to ask any other board members if they do have any other questions in regards to this.
You said something, yeah?
John Perazzo, just a quick question on, the financials of all this. Are these gonna be leased solar panels?
No, this is a purchase.
Fully
I don't
solely
do
owned?
leasing.
Okay,
No, this is a customer-owned, system-owned. They own the tax incentives and all the credits. and
right,
stuff.
okay. And wouldn't there be a financial burden to essentially build all of this and to get the land pretty much ready to put solar panels on it? So it would take a large amount of time for them to recoup it?
No, not at the rate of electricity. I mean, if you look at it as an investment, from day one, you have a solid return on investment.
Okay,
And you have a hence on inflation over the next, the panels degrade, half
they
a percent a
depreciate.
year, huh?
and they will depreciate too,
They
over
will,
time?
the system gets degraded, 0.5% a year, so in 25 years, it's gonna produce 80% of its nameplate. So it'll sit there and it'll produce power for 100 years.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Jan Albert, you need my address?
Yes, please take
337 Coon Road, Southbury. I just wanted to say that I know there was a time in Southbury where there wasn't zoning. I've lived in Southbury for 35 years, and we just built our dream house on this piece of property that's beautiful overlooking Lake Winona. I'm sure every single one of you loves your home and is concerned about, what your home looks like and all of those things. We bought 2 lots because we didn't want someone to build in front of us. We didn't want to block our view over this beautiful piece of property. We care about the environment. We want to do something green. We want to put solar energy in. We have a beautiful architect-designed home. I'm an interior designer. I don't want solar panels on my beautiful black metal roof home. There's also not a part of our lot that we're not using, except for maybe where the septic is, which is off on the side in the corner, which is what Rob and Franklin were talking about. It's not a good spot for the solar to be, and I don't think it could be over the septic anyway. So the only other spot is this big front lawn that we have. We have grandchildren, we have dogs. We're not putting solar there. It's not a practical place to put it. We always wanted to put it on this lower lot that has a ravine going straight down the side of it. It's not a good buildable lot. I don't know how anyone would want to build a house there. Could you? Yes. And I'm sure that Lee Sheehan, who developed the development, got all the things he needed to do that. But it's our lot. And we're trying to do something good. And I understand the rules of hardship and all this stuff. All we want to do is go across the driveway. We don't want Larry to see this. We don't want to see it. We don't want anyone to see it. We're not trying to do something terrible here. We're trying to do something good to help the environment. We didn't know, Larry just bought this piece of property. You know, we were planning to do this from day one. This was 5 years ago that we bought this piece of property. He hasn't communicated with us. We've tried to connect. I don't know if he's got a house plan. We would work with him with all this. The only thing that we've done is we had a landscaper who put way too much gravel on our driveway. So they had to take the excess gravel and dump it on the second lot where we were going to put solar. So that's why there's a pad. It wasn't like we were doing something ahead of time before we came to the zoning committee. There's a place where all this excess gravel went. When Rob came to work with us, he said, oh, this is perfect. We can put the solar array here. We are willing to work with our new neighbor. I don't know that he wants to work with us, but we're happy to work with him. We don't want him to see the solar array. We don't want to see the solar array. There's a lot of brush. You can't see it. I did not want a 14-foot high solar array. Rob lowered it. The only reason you can sort of see it when you're driving up is because there was a space where they dumped all the gravel. I don't know if that counts as hardship, that we have a beautiful designed home, that we don't have a place for the solar on our current piece of property. I don't know if that's hardship or not. But I'm not gonna, try and make something up. This is the situation. We own 2 lots. We want to use our lower lot. We want to do something in Southbury. I can tell you, driving up to my house, I wish somebody would have done something with the zoning committee, all the stuff that I see on the way up to my beautiful home. Okay? So this is not something that anybody's going to see except the people who live in our neighborhood and the Amazon guy and the mail guy. And I don't know what other information I can give you. We're not trying to cause a problem. We want to do this and be, help the environment. We want to lower our electric bills, as anyone would want to do. And that's my honest case.
Mark Kane, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Did you or did you not state the fact that you didn't want to look at this because of being on your property, because you have kids and stuff, and I think on 2 occasions you had mentioned about how you don't want to look at it. So my question to you is you're putting this in front of lot 9, which then this person is gonna have in front of their
No,
yard.
he's not gonna see it. And the other thing is if Larry would work with us and show us a house plan and work with a surveyor and show us, if we need to move it lower, we'll move it lower. But we wanna do it. We've already lived there almost, a year and a half. And there's so much brush that's covering it. We can't see it from our lot, and we're up higher than he is.
Yeah, but brush can be changed, after, let's say this hypothetically. Who's to say that a year after, you don't want the brush anymore and you clear it all out and it's
Why would I,
completely-
why on earth
But
would I do
it's
that?
hypothetical. It's like anything. You're given a hypothetical and I'm giving you a hypothetical is all I'm doing.
Well, I don't want to look at the solar. I don't want it on my lawn because I don't want my kids to play on it, my grandchildren to play on it. I don't want my dogs to have to run around it. Would you want that on your lawn? Would
No,
you-
but if
would
I
you
lived
want
on
that
lot
yours?
9, I definitely wouldn't want to be driving up every day looking at it either.
But you
When
don't
I'm
see
coming
it.
home.
Have you been on Coon Road?
No, I have not gone
Well,
on the
maybe
Coon Road on
take a drive up and you can see. You can't see it, and there's pictures provided. So you can't
Well-
see it even from the road, so let alone, you know, you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see it.
Okay, is that all you want to add?
I got one more question too.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Just so I understand, the
Hey.
whole crux, I'm sorry, Jason Edwards for the record. The reason really for the variance is because there's not a primary residence on this lot, correct? So what's to prevent you from building a residence and then attaching the solar to both houses?
We're not building another
But I'm just saying that that's an option that would be buildable.
I can assure you,
that-
I can sign a paper, but we're not
But I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it could be a solution for you to build a small residence there and attach it to your solar panel, and then you could build a guest house or something, and then you'd be able to put your solar panel in, so you wouldn't need a variance.
It's amazing to me what's in Southbury and what I see driving up to my property and we're arguing over this. It really is absolutely amazing to me, but whatever. The law is the law. So however you guys want to decide this is up to you, but to me, this is crazy. Well, if I did put a residence up, I'm sure my neighbor wouldn't be that happy. He would be a lot less happy if I put a residence up for my children to stay in.
My
don't
point
know.
wasn't to try to.
Maybe that,
Jason
maybe
Edwards
that,
to-
maybe that is something that we would do at some point, but we're not doing it right now, and we wanted to get the solar in now. So, it is our lot, I suppose we could do that. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, I'm trying to do something good for the environment here and be friendly neighbor, but we're not getting much back here, so,
Is there anything else that you want to add?
no.
Okay. Is there any other board members that have any questions for anybody on the, representing the application?
I'm good.
All right, at this time, I open the floor up to the public for anybody that's in favor. Let the record show nobody's in favor. Anybody in public that is on the floor that would like to be not in favor? We have one gentleman, please approach. State your name, your address, please.
Sure, good evening. Lawrence Forte, go by Larry, Lawrence Forte at 339. I know sometimes I confuse 37 and 39, but I'm 339 Kuhn Road in Southbury. And I did just acquire that lot, I think it was February, but I just closed on it. So it is my intention to build a primary residence on that home and move there. Obviously, it takes time to go through with professionals and get things going, and I've got a lot else going on, but that is my intention. I did provide you some notes. I would suggest, if you haven't had a time to read it, if you want to read them first rather than me just read through them, that would be efficient. I don't know if you've had time or not, but it probably take you a couple minutes.
Correct.
I'm not
I
sure.
believe everybody has looked it over.
Okay, so I won't, if you've read that, I won't restate it. And I'm not really sure where to start, but the reality is, the first time I became aware of this was when I received the certified letter in the mail from Connecticut. I said, oh my God, what'd I do? And I did call Rob, and we talked for a little bit, and that was like 2 days before the April hearing, and so there wasn't enough time, so it was pushed back to now. So, and so, while it's irrelevant for the process, I think it's helpful from a character perspective. My goal was to start a dialogue, but there was no attempt to have a dialogue. And then Robert sent me an updated plan that said we've sort of reduced it. I think 90 by 15 is still quite a big solar array. I think part of that is because there's a pool in the house, and I don't know, that probably adds a lot of electricity to deal with that pool, but it is what it is. I don't think that's a hardship. So, but anyway, so Robert and I spoke briefly, and I spoke to Eric, and I was desirous to have a dialogue, but interestingly, there wasn't any, and then I got an email back from their attorney, and so we didn't talk after that. So that was only a couple of days ago. What I think is most clear, and look, I'd love to try to work something out with you. I don't know what the possibilities are, and obviously partly what I think, hopefully it's relevant, but there's also the hardship and the uniqueness. And I think some of the things said here today are potentially confusing. I think it's crystal clear that three thirty-seven where the house is, or lot 8 as it's known also. I mean, that front yard it's southern facing, it's much higher, it's probably, I don't know, 50 feet higher than where these solar panels are, 30, 40, or 50 feet higher. It's southern facing, it's cleared of trees. The lot below is cleared of trees. I think Jan, she said it herself, she wrote her application. She bought the lot so she would have a view of the lake below. So the reality is, if the solar panels were, so there is no hardship. There's a hardship on me because it's crystal clear where my lot is, the lot starts to slope down both on the opposite side of where the solar panels would be and towards the lake. Naturally, it slopes down. So the only place I can situate that house, which is where the proposed house was when the subdivision was approved, is up in that corner. And that's actually right as close relative to setback lines as where these solar panels would be. And there is you were asking questions, there's a lot of fill that was put in there. There's just gravel in there that was put there from a driveway. There's a really big pile, I don't know how many truckloads, but there's a lot of fill. So that was already built up. So the reality is, when I put a house on there, maybe from the first floor, certainly from the second floor, I'm gonna look right at these solar panels. I mean, right there. And to the extent that in between the driveway and the solar panels of 337, Jan's house and Eric's house, and the solar panels, if they were to put up evergreens there or whatever it is to block, so they would see over them, which is beautiful, but that would block their view of the solar panels. Well, then when I'm using that part of my property, then clearly I can't see the lake from there either. So I'll see the solar panels from my house. When you walk up and down on the driveway, now you'll see evergreens. Yeah, if a house was put up there, that'd be fine. The house would be wonderful. That's the whole purpose of residential neighborhoods, is to build houses and neighborhoods and communities and things like that. So, so the other, just want to refer to just a few other things per my notes, and then I'll leave you guys alone. I can find what I'm looking for here. Here it is. So I think some of the things you all heard today and through the application and everything else, I know there's words like common driveway, shared, continuum, 50 per. I own a strip and they own a strip. Our lots are adjacent. Everything is singular ownership. There's nothing that's co-owned. I own a piece of land that goes all the way from the top of my property all the way down to Kuhn Lane, shown on the map here. So it's clear. And the Connecticut statutes, section 9.3 on hardships, plus your own paper that talks about reasons to deny or approve subdivisions, all talk about unique situations and hardships. It's crystal clear. The only hardship would be on me. There is no hardship. It is a non-contiguous lot, as was written by the the memo from Jordan. It's clearly, it's a non-contiguous lot. It just seems to me that it's unfortunate that we're even here having this discussion. And I have had multiple discussions with various professionals knowledgeable in Southbury. All have told me the same thing. So yes, Jen, maybe there's a way to work something out. I don't think this is the way to work it out. Anyway, so if you've already read my notes, I don't think I need to bore you with more. If you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Mark Kane, Chairman. Actually, I would recommend that you do read, just so it's on the record, for what things you preside that you find to be offensive or not acceptable, or however you want to do, just so that it's recorded into the minutes versus just because we read it doesn't mean anybody else is going to be aware of the situation.
Can it be, I don't mind doing that. Can it be read in, just for efficiency of people's time, can it be read into the minutes as the memo? It's up to you. I just don't want to waste people's time if it can
I believe that would
be.
be probably, I mean, I'm not here to give advice, but, that's entirely up to you. We're here for you, so you
Okay.
do what you feel.
So how about we hold that for a minute if there's other questions, and then we'll come back to that. So we'll get an idea how much time
Absolutely, we
it
could do
takes.
that. Does anybody on the board have
Thanks,
any
Mark.
further questions for him before he continues? Let the record show nobody has any questions.
Okay, I'll read it then. Apologize for the time it's taking, I'll do my best. By way of background, I purchased the approved residential building lot at 339 Kuhn Road, Southbury, Connecticut in 2025 with the intention to build my primary residence. In order to ensure there is no misunderstanding, my property at 339 Kuhn Road abuts and intersects both 337 Kuhn Road, where the applicant's house sits, and the subject vacant lot at 335 Kuhn Road. 5 lots with driveways on Kuhn Road have permission to use the driveway for ingress and egress. However, the ownership of my lot, known as 339 Kuhn Road, is solely in my name as per the recorded deed. There are no forms of, quote, common ownership, shared ownership, or 50% ownership, end quote, among any of the lots, including the portion of my approximately 3.5 acre lot at 339 Kuhn Road that separates 337 Kuhn Road from 335 Kuhn Road. The application misconstrues my sole ownership with terms such as 50, quote, 50% common, shared, continuing, and similar terms. The staff report prepared by the Land Use Office in opposition to the application appropriately refers to a lot at 335 Kuhn Road as a, quote, non-contiguous parcel, end quote. My review of the Town of Southbury zoning regulations and multiple knowledgeable professionals with requisite experience in local land use, site engineering, and real estate in Southbury have confirmed that the Town of Southbury ordinance strictly prohibit construction or installation of accessory structures, which include solar panels as requested in the present application, on a vacant lot such as the lot that is the subject of this variance request, 335 Kuhn Road, since it is not contiguous with 337 Kuhn Road where the applicant's house sits. These are critical facts and information I have relied upon relative to ongoing use, enjoyment, and preservation of value of my property. When considering the town's reasons for denying zoning variance requests, the regulations require undue hardship. Not only is there no undue hardship, there is no hardship whatsoever to the applicants. Thus, the applicants have not even attempted to state a hardship. As the solar panel plan map annexed to the application demonstrates, the applicant's house with built-in pool on 4.5+ acres at 337 Kuhn Road, which the solar panels would service, has enormous south-facing cleared and level property many times the size of the proposed solar panel field. And further, 337 Kuhn Road also sits about 50 feet higher in elevation, 570 feet compared to 520 feet, to the proposed location of the solar panels on the separate lot 335 Kuhn Road. Further, the 335 Kuhn lot has a very steep grade, so a portion of the lot has been filled in to create a level area. Also, the house at 337 Kuhn Road has a very well-positioned south-facing roof capable of hosting solar panels. Either the immense property at 337 Kuhn Road itself with the house or the roof would be perfectly suitable, convenient, and even superior locations for solar panels and would not require approval of a variance. For those unfamiliar with the specific location of these lots, the beauty lies in the panoramic southern and western views from miles from high above the widest part of Lake Leelanau and the vastly untouched surrounding forest. Slapping a large solar panel field on this vacant, non-contiguous lot would be about as inharmonious with the zoning regs and detrimental to the neighborhood as one could imagine. The vacant lot has been stripped of the vast majority of the trees to afford a magnificent view from the house at 337 Kuhn Road. Also, the portion of 335 Kuhn Road where the solar panel field would be situated has been altered with voluminous truckloads of fill and topped with gravel to raise such grade by 10 or more feet in my visual estimation. Hence, as proposed and contrary to the statements in the application, the massive 90 by 15 foot solar panel field would be a very clear view between my property and the surrounding views of Lake Leelanau and the surrounding natural forest. The owners would then plant evergreens or similar plantings that would serve to block the view of the lake and forest from my property, yet allow their views of the lake and forest to be preserved and hide the solar panels from their view, since the house at 337 sits at a much higher elevation than my property and the 335 Kuhn Road lot. When considering the town's reasons for approving waiver requests, not only do none of the reasons listed apply, but a hardship would be created against me, since the only feasible location for a house on my property would be in the top northwest corner of my lot, which happens to be the closest portion of my property the closest portion of my property to the proposed site of the solar panel field where the fill has been added and leveled. Hence, my future home would be now looking at a solar panel field. In conclusion, the applicants have not attempted to present grounds for hardship because there are none. This is merely a veiled attempt to place an immense solar panel field away from and out of view from the applicant's house while being plainly in view of my proposed home location, which is the only feasible location for a dwelling on my lot. Further, hardship would be burdened on me through blockage of views from other portions of my property and diminishment of the value diminishment of the value of my property will occur if this self-serving variance were to be approved. Hence, the application for an accessory structure should be denied, consistent with the staff report from the Land Use Office. Respectfully, Lawrence Forte.
Are you good? Okay, at this time, I'm asking anybody in the public or anybody that has any further things to add.
If there's no one else in the public, Franklin Pillacy again, on behalf of the applicant, I'd just like to respond briefly. That this has been characterized as an immense solar array. It's actually quite small by way of a solar array. It's designed and intended to serve only one house. Secondly, this is, under your zoning regulations, an accessory use, which is a permitted use. The only reason we need a variance is because it's separated by the driveway and it's not contiguous to Lot 8. But again, when the best use and possibly the only reasonable use of Lot 6 is this accessory use, then that makes it a sufficient hardship for you to grant a variance, and some might say it requires you to grant a variance. Because every piece of property is required to have a reasonable use that's consistent with your zoning regulations. Now, I know that you've all looked, and it sounds from the way you discussed this, that you're aware of the immense difficulties of trying to site a reasonable house on this property. But again, the accessory use under your regulations is a permitted use. The variance is because it was purchased as an accessory lot for Lot 8. And the hardship is, again, there has to be some reasonable use of any residentially zoned property. The best and maybe the only reasonable use is this solar array. And the idea that a 7-foot solar array that can't be seen from anywhere is going to, I defy anybody to actually be able to see this once it's built. It's going to be 7 feet high. It's going to be substantially below even the roadway going up. It's off to the side of the roadway. And once it's established, even the driveway or so-called entryway into Lot 6 with natural growth will shield this 100%. And with all respect to the owner of Lot 8 that is not opposition, it's pretty clear that I don't think, again, I don't want to be speaking about somebody else's property, but I do believe that if this is properly buffered, the owner of Lot 8 will never see this from any level within his own house. This is off to the side from any direct view of the lake. And again, if additional buffering is needed, then I can assure everyone that Jan will make sure additional buffering is put wherever it's sought by the owner of Lot 8 or anyone else to make sure that this solar panel, established, again, as a reasonable use of Lot 6, will never be seen from anybody. And that can be put as a condition of any approval of this variance, that appropriate shielding and buffering will be established as needed to make sure that this buffering, that this solar array cannot be seen from any other property. But again, if you went out there and stood anywhere around this right now, you couldn't see the area where the solar array is going to go with the natural growth that's there right now. That natural growth, as a condition of any approval, can be required to have enhancement to guarantee that the privacy, so to speak, or non-ability to see the solar array is protected and guaranteed for anyone that may be in that neighborhood, including the owner of Lot 8, who we have all the respect in the world for. We do not want to do anything that's going to impair the quality of life and the quality of Lot 8, and we can guarantee you, of Lot 9, and we can guarantee you that it will not happen, because you can add that as a condition to any approval. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Stu.
Len Livonia, you said, you just said, correct me if I'm wrong, that every lot has to have a reasonable use? Is that correct? When we're referring to lot 6?
I believe that every piece of property, regardless if it's an established lot or regardless if it's just a parcel of property, there must be some reasonable use of that property allowed under your zoning regulations, and if there is not, then that's a candidate for a variance to allow some reasonable use. And that's one of the criteria that the Connecticut court cases tell us is required to support a hardship. That if you have a piece of property where there's no reasonable use without a variance, then that is where a variance can be required. There is a use of Lot 6 without the solar array, but it's so difficult that it's really not likely. And it was mentioned that you could have a walkout basement, but if you walked out that basement, you'd like tumble 300 feet down the hill. Very, very difficult. Maybe when you see some of the houses on the cliffs in California or something, I mean, maybe that's what you'd have to do here, but it would be very, very difficult to use this property for a reasonable residential house. Maybe something super small, I don't know, but if anyone's familiar with this property, that's what's out there. It's a very, very small buildable area before it just drops off again, quite steeply down in the direction of the lake.
Len Livonia again. So are you saying it's unlikely or impossible? I mean, this is an approved building lot, correct? I know we flip-flopped on this issue, but we kind of went back and forth on it. Is it approved or is it not an approved building lot?
My understanding is that this is an approved building lot.
Okay.
My personal opinion, I'm not an architect, I'm not an engineer, but having been around as a land use attorney for about 52 years, I went out and looked at this lot. And I can tell you that I wouldn't want to be anyone trying to build a house on this lot.
But we don't have any, Len Livonia again, we don't have anything in writing from an engineer or an architect that would also come to that same conclusion, do we?
I do not, sir, and I don't believe that Jan does either.
Okay, thank you.
But I think that anybody looking at it, if you wanted to adjourn this and I'll take a ride out there, I think you'd all come to the same conclusion, because you're all quite experienced in land use matters of this nature. I think if anybody went out there and looked at this, you'd easily and very quickly come to the same conclusion. Thank you.
I got one more thing. Is there a reason the house would have to go up?
No, no,
I'm sorry, Jason Edwards for the record. There's a flat spot right down here. Why couldn't you put it down here?
When I was out there, I looked at that flat spot, and I don't think it's big enough, in my opinion, again, not an engineer, not an architect, in my opinion, that flat spot is very, very restrictive. It would make it very difficult to site a house there, and it would make it certain that you would have 0 yard area.
I just think I disagree. I think it wouldn't be built there because the view isn't as good, but it's certainly a reasonable location for a house.
Oh, the
I mean,
view.
the slope is only about maybe 5% through this entire stretch down here,
If
about
you,
100 feet up from the
if you
wetlands.
take the setback from the road, again, not an engineer, not an architect, but if you take the setback from the road and then try to build a house in that short, small area before you start the deep,
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't
decline.
make this clear, but I'm talking about down here, farther down the hill on the driveway. There's a suitable spot right here. I mean, a house could be built there without any trouble at all.
may I look at where you're?
Yeah, sure. This little knob right here, this is all flat right here. This is steep up on top, I agree, but this is not steep by any definition. No, it's wetlands is 50 feet away, they're demarked on the bottom. You're 100 feet plus away from the wetlands down there. So I disagree that this is a.
But again, Mark Kane, I'd just like to get back to, debating on whether we can build on this or not. It's an approved building lot. I think that's where we need to stop, otherwise we can have this debate until 10 o'clock at night, whether it's buildable or not. I think it's made clear that there's people stating the fact it's a matter of opinion of how difficult it would be to build on this lot. And I think personally, we should end it at that. If there's any other questions pertaining to the fact of the solar panel itself, by all means, please, anybody with the public or on the board has any questions, feel free to stand up. Just state your name, absolutely.
Jan Albert. So the issue is whether Larry can see the house that he hasn't designed yet from his lot to where our solar panels are gonna be. Why can't Larry get a surveyor and get somebody to come in and determine whether or not he's gonna see it? In my opinion, his view, he's gonna position his house this way. He's not gonna look at the solar array. You know, maybe the garage would be there. He's not gonna be looking in that direction. And, you know, we're not questioning whether we can build a house on the lot. I didn't want to build a house on the lot. I would be stupid idiot to build a house on that lot because I had the lot above that's a much better view. Why wouldn't I put my primary house there? So we want to put solar on this lower lot. He doesn't want to see it, but we tried to communicate, couldn't get through. He didn't respond. So I don't know how to, unless to do it here in this meeting, to say, maybe he needs to get a surveyor to come in to see so that we can locate a spot that he's not gonna see on this lot. To deny us to be able to do something green for Southbury when we've been taxpayers in this town for 35 years is crazy. Nobody is gonna see it. It's not a big public road.
You're
It's
not
in a
gonna see it,
subdivision.
right?
Nobody's gonna see it.
John Allen, you keep saying that you're not going to see it, and then you
He's
don't
not gonna
know,
see it.
and then you don't know how he's going to see it. But he did purchase this lot to build his house as well.
That's
right?
correct,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So you're already telling him that he's going to be seeing this on his lot. And you're saying that you don't want to see it on your lot. I think it's.
So we need a surveyor, somebody to come, a professional to
I know,
come in and locate
and we
where
keep
it should
going
be.
back and forth on is this lot buildable, which it is, and then where we're putting these. I think you could put them right in front of your house, the solar panels.
Okay, so that's a
because-
hardship? Because why
No,
would
you're
somebody do
creating a
that?
hardship here. There is no hardship.
Okay, would you do that on your lot?
Well,
Where you
you're,
live?
you're,
Would-
you're,
if you
you're
have
telling
children?
us that this person should see your stuff. There's no hardship in here.
I don't want him to see it.
I
You're not
read
hearing
through
me.
this.
I
I
don't
know,
want
but
him to
please let
see
me
it.
have a chance to talk
Okay.
here. There is no hardship. You could put these on your property. You don't want to put them on your property because you don't want to see them. This gentleman purchased the lot next to you, which, what? Because I talk loud and I'm deaf. I can't hear. I can't hear, and I have a microphone. Okay, so I'm still not like there's no hardship on this thing, and you don't want to see. Like, what I'm hearing is I don't want to see my solar panels that are gonna produce energy for my house, but this guy could look at them. But then you're telling us
That's
to
not what
write
I'm
in
saying.
a subject that you can't see them.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm
It's
saying.
exactly what you
No,
guys presented today.
What I'm presenting and what I'm saying is, we have a large lot. We could find another spot. I said this when I spoke before. We can find another spot on this lot. The only reason there was gravel and it looked like we had already made a decision is because we had driveway, excess gravel that they dumped there. It was the closest spot for them to dump.
But
So
that
that's,
wasn't the purpose of this meeting, like.
Wait, can I just
everything that
finish?
was-
Can I finish?
Everything
Can
that
I
was
finish?
presented, I
Can I
listened to you
finish?
guys and I am asking a question. and
I
I'm
know,
on
but
the
I was
table
still
here.
talking.
Okay,
Okay, I was still
Okay.
talking.
okay, go ahead.
So we didn't have a spot necessarily for the solar. We hadn't even started the solar process. We were dumping excess gravel on our lot. That isn't anybody's business, right? So when Rob came to look at where we could put the solar, he said, oh, maybe you could just put it right here. At that point, there was no Larry. Larry didn't own the lot. He wasn't looking at the lot. I didn't know Larry. So now we have a new neighbor potentially.
Yeah.
So I said in the very beginning, let him get an architect, let him figure out where his house is gonna be, and we can work together to figure out where we can put this solar so that we can get the electricity across the road so we can do solar panels. I don't believe that he's not gonna, that he's gonna see it. There's going to be a place on this lot where he's not going to see it, where we are gonna be able to do solar. We're not trying to create a war here. We're trying to do something good, and we suddenly got a neighbor. Nobody looked at the lot in the 5 years that we owned our lot. And then suddenly somebody bought the lot next to us. So this all just happened. We were planning to do solar all along. We were always planning to come to this meeting. We were always planning to get a variance across the road, always, from day one. Okay?
Mark Kane, are you all set? Okay, go ahead, John.
Was the solar proposed in the original building site for lot number 8, like you just were saying? So was solar in the original design of the house?
No, because we
Well, could you please take up, just so we can,
that's when I became aware that Southbury had this law that you can't build on a lot that is an abandoned lot. So that's when we became aware of that. So we couldn't draw anything, we couldn't plan anything there. We just knew that we were gonna have to go through this process. But with the architect and the builder, you know, we don't wanna ruin our lawn by having a solar array in the middle of our lawn, which I can imagine none of you would want if you had the choice. So we were always planning to try and put it on that lot. We were gonna donate the lot to the land trust, but then we thought, you know, let's use part of it at least for the solar.
Mark Kane, but you keep on, and I don't know if you realize this, but you keep on saying that you don't wanna look it on your lot, and
It's not looking, it's
Mr. Allen did
having
bring
it
up-
physically there so that kids could play on it and, you know, right.
I understand that, but here's, and this is not supposed to be about monetary, but you're saying on how you bought this lot because you didn't want to have anybody build on it and do anything because you wanted to have the view. Now you decide you want to put a solar panel or pertained, so it's just hypothetical on it. But now you want to put a solar array across the street, but you don't want to look at it, but you want to force your neighbor that just bought the lot.
No,
that
that's not what I
Excuse me,
said.
you asked for your time to have it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to be respectful for this, but it's on my turn, and when I'm done, I'll more than willing to give you as much time as you need. So now you're saying that because you don't want to look at it, because you got a beautiful yard and you got a steel roof and you don't want to have it on your house and this and that and everything else, but now you want to implement what you want to satisfy yourself and your needs, which honestly, if I was to look at this and you're saying you want to put solar, why'd you spend so much money on buying this extra lot? You could have not bought this lot and saved that money and put it towards your electric bill, and you'd probably be ahead of the game for the next 50 to probably 100 years. Probably even your grandkids for the price of the lot, I'm sure, which I don't know. And we're getting into a hypothetical. But now you're putting it into where you want to force that gentleman right there to drive up every single day and look at it, okay? Because you don't want to look at it. So,
Okay, this is getting into a pissing match, and I gotta tell you, in 35 years of living here, I have never been to one of these meetings, and now I know why. If you heard what I said, if somebody recorded what I said 5
is.
minutes ago, I said,
This is-
we don't want anyone to have to see it. We wanna work with Larry, and I said, let him get an architect, let him get a surveyor. We can relocate where this can be, so that nobody sees it. Nobody wants to see it. It's a good thing to have, but nobody wants to see it. I don't wanna see it, I don't want him to have to see it.
But he is
I
gonna
don't want
see
him to
it.
have to see it, I'm saying that, and I've said it 5 times. You keep bringing up that I want him to see it, and this is really
it's not that
turning
I'm
into
saying
a
you want to see it,
ridiculous-
he's gonna
He's
see it.
gonna
No,
see
he's
it.
not
Gonna
gonna
see
see
it.
it. Have either one of you been up to the property? Do you
We're-
even know
we're
what
looking
you're
at it
talking
right
about?
here.
You can't tell from those pictures.
Good.
Drive up there. I'll show you where it's gonna be. He can show you where his house is gonna be. We'll show you. You
Okay.
can't see it.
We're not trying to
This is
debate with you. We're
ridiculous. I
trying
understand
to
these
go
meetings.
by what is actually happening, and the hardship is that there is clearly no hardship in this case.
Okay, so then don't approve it, and then you don't have solar energy, and then it's one more awful thing that happens in this town. Like, I don't understand, this just doesn't make any sense at all.
I think
Just for
that,
the record, Mark Kane, just for the record, I wasn't stating anything to the fact of what the stuff that I repeated was basically what you had said. I did not put words into your mouth, just for the record.
Franklin
One thing
Pelosi-
I'd like to add also, Len Livonia, you did say at one point, and it is recorded, we could go back, that he might be able to see it from his garage. So that's a difference from,
said
excuse me,
you could put
ma'am,
your
I'm
garage
speaking.
there so
I'm
that it's-
speaking. So that is a difference if he can see it from his lot versus not being able to see it at all. So again, this is another issue, we're flip-flopping back and forth. You've said both, you've said he's not gonna be able to see it at all, but you also did say that he will be able to see it from his garage maybe. Those are two separate things.
Franklin Pillacy again, just one last comment. I think one of the things that's being missed here is this proposal is an accessory use, which is a permitted use under your regulations. The only technicality is the property is separated by the driveway. The second issue, that what I said, is that any approval could be conditioned upon establishing a plan that will require that any house built on the adjacent lot cannot see any part of this solar array. Again, we're talking about a solar array that's 7 feet high, and if this solar array were there right now, nobody could see it right now. The question is, if a house is built on the adjacent lot, will you be able to see it possibly from an upper floor? That can also be dealt with additional buffering. So what I have said was, nobody has to look at it because you can put a condition on an approval that would require that no one has to see it. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to add?
I do. Thank you all for your time tonight. I just want to be clear. I know, John, you're looking at the maps. I think it's crystal clear. First of all, it's not realistic that I'm trying, right? But to get professionals in line and start doing all that stuff I've met with Jordan, it takes time. And you guys don't want to hear my stories. I got a lot of good things going on in my life, a lot of challenges. I'm not dealing with this today. So part of the issue is I've been willing to talk to Jan. But I think we're getting off the topic, whether I can see it or not. It's 100% clear from maybe the first floor. Certainly, it depends how big the basement. Clearly, the second floor is going to be visible. Period. Dot. End of story. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's no maybe about it. It's crystal clear. If you want to go up there, have fun, go see it. So I just want to be clear. But honestly, while that's interesting and it's a hardship to me, it has nothing to do with the fact that there still is no hardship whatsoever initially. That's just on top of it.
At this time, is there anybody else, the public, any board member, or any representative of the applicant that has any questions or wants to add anything to this application?
Just Jason Edwards for the record, in response to the suggestion of the conditions on the approval. What you're suggesting is that the approval would be conditioned that it could not be seen from the neighbor. Wouldn't that restrict the neighbor's property by doing so? Because it would not allow the house to be built in an area that could see it?
Franklin Pillacy again, and I disagree with that because the narrow scope or area where this is the array is going to be established would be a very, very narrow area that could be buffered with additional buffering, whether it's probably trees of some kind or something like that, but I don't think it's going to interfere at all, because the view, again, from this lot is due west and not south or southeast, looking at the lake.
Okay, I think the only way that, Jason Edwards again, the only way that could be done would be to have the house built first and then the solar array placed based on the position of the house. Otherwise, you'd be, no matter, the neighbor would have to somehow place their house so they couldn't see the array in order to satisfy that condition.
Well, not really, because once the house was built, if additional buffering was needed, it would be the
Okay, so they'd have to
responsibility.
then
It
enforce
would be
that.
responsibility of the owner of the property with the array to adjust whatever buffer's in place prior to construction. If it has to be enhanced or altered in any way, that would be part of the condition.
I just think that would be hard to enforce.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mark Kane, and not only that, I do believe that this would be a joint effort between the owner of Lot 8 and Lot 9.
Yeah.
And the owner of Lot 9 is here and is pretty adamant to the fact that he doesn't want this. So, in looking at this, of what we're probably gonna come to the conclusion of, is that this would have to be something that would be addressed in a future meeting. Right now at this meeting, we have the owner of lot 9 not wanting it, and the owner of lot 6 and 8 wanting it. So, as far as trying to do something, to write something in, we don't have that permission to begin with, to do that, to put any stipulations on. So,
Well, how can an owner of one lot control,
can you please,
I mean, isn't there a way to talk about this?
if you have any questions, you have to stand up there. You have to state your name. You gotta remember, people that might be listening to this, that not visually, are not gonna know who's speaking. That's the only reason
Jan
why.
Albert,
There you go. Thank you.
I've said a few times now, when he has a house plan and he hires maybe a surveyor to come and we can locate where the best place would be for the solar array so that he doesn't see it.
And that's something you could do in the future, absolutely. I mean, he doesn't seem to be an unreasonable gentleman.
Well, unreasonable is when you don't respond to emails that were sent and then to say that nobody has contacted him, so, I don't know. And then, as far as the house, the garage facing the solar array, I don't know where that would be. An architect needs to figure this out. I'm not an architect. And a surveyor can totally locate this and make it happen. It's a big lot, and it's a big view.
Is this something that, you know, the two parties could come to a conclusion with?
It wouldn't happen today, though. It's not. We have to vote on
I
what
don't
we
know
have
if you're
here.
willing to talk, but
No.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
We gotta vote on what they're.
Yeah,
We're just voting.
we have to vote on what's in front of us.
Okay, okay.
I'm trying to look at you and the board. Is that addressed to me?
I was
you're
kinda
willing to
just,
speak.
it was, you know,
Two things.
okay.
All right, if I close enough. Just to your point again, I don't know what maps you have, but
If you can just so we can,
trying to.
yeah. I don't think she's gonna bite you.
I don't think so. The value in my lot 9 is in placing the house in that upper corner. I'm not even sure if I could put it way downhill down there in the woods, because I don't know between now the length of the driveway, where I could put septic. But that would also, let's say I could theoretically do that, and I'm now I'm going through all kinds of hardships, and it took away the view. I would not have paid the price I paid for the property to put the house down in the woods. The lot wouldn't be worth anywhere near what it's worth. So I just wanted to be clear. I don't, there's a little bit of wiggle.
Necessarily need to look this way, right at the solar panels, right? It's gonna look at the view. So this is why we need to speak to an architect, or if you're getting a house plan from a builder, or you're getting an architect, and you're gonna get a surveyor. And I think that that's something we need to agree upon, because I don't wanna stop my solar project because he's unwilling to hire a surveyor to come and look to see whether he actually would have a hardship. We don't know. I'm not gonna hire.
10 years if I want. That's not my objective. I'd like to move forward with it. But you
that's not-
you all probably know way more than I do about the complexities of getting started. I have a son getting married next week. I've got business trips planned. I got a bunch of stuff going on. So the reality of the timeline for this today doesn't actually work for me to do this tomorrow. Am I trying? Of course. But that's not, I don't think that's anything to do with what's going on here tonight. So if it's helpful for everybody, yeah, I'm a really reasonable person, and yes, I absolutely responded. When I got let's be clear again for the record, the first time I got word of this, and I'd met Jan several times in the driveway, we've talked, we exchanged cell phone numbers.
Yep.
And I got a letter from Robert I actually freaked out a little bit, because I didn't even connect the dots. And so that was the first thing I got. The first thing I did, picked up this phone and called Robert, because it was Robert's letter representing them. So I called him. And then I called Jan, and she was out of town. She said, call Eric. I don't have his number. She texted me his number. I called Eric. And he said, okay, they sent me a copy of it, and I sent something back, and I said, okay, well, the town's opposed, and it's got these issues, and what are you expecting from me? So I did respond. And the next thing I got was a response from an attorney, Jillian, who's sitting right there, who I don't know, but I figured out that she's Jillian just by process of elimination. So the way I deal with things, I like business people to deal with business people. I'm here by myself. I'm not represented by counsel. If we're trying to work something out, if there was something working out, it wasn't getting done in time for this meeting. And no, I don't want to defer, I'm not asking you all to defer on something based upon what might happen. I have no idea how quickly, what I can do. I don't want to be bound by something that I don't know what it is. That's not what I bought the lot for. I bought it to have a nice, peaceful, private lot and to do what I want to do with it within the confines of what's approvable on an already approved lot. So that's the reality, but to sit here and say, Jan, I didn't respond, when I get a letter from Jillian on Thursday, by the way, today's Tuesday, it came Thursday with a follow-up Friday. I did not hire counsel, I wasn't responding to an attorney, it's not the way I do things, so I've actually been responsive, even though I don't think that's relevant either to what's going on.
So is there a way that we don't have to wait for him to sit on his lap for 10 years for us to figure out whether or not?
That's entirely up to you. We're just here to make a decision on what's presided in front of us.
Yeah.
We can't foresee the future.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buy the lot from them.
if I could, I wouldn't be sitting here if I could see the future, that's for sure. But lo and behold.
You guys make all these decisions without actually having seen the property and seen what's in.
Well, no, I'm in the building industry, so I can understand topography, I understand all that stuff. That's not a conflict. Granted, there's not anything here that's showing as far as what your brush, I mean, we do have a few pictures. The pictures we're taking at regular 6-foot height. Guy's gonna probably have a 2-story house, so those are really irrelevant, because once you get up high enough, you can see down low enough. And then, you know, on a sunny day, who's to say that glare isn't gonna be glaring into his windows? I mean, I don't know. But from in general, for what I can see, and I can pretty much read a map well enough to understand what is here. There's a lot of factors, you know, it's a provable building lot, you know, so that doesn't take as far as certain things that Attorney Pelosi was bringing up. He does bring up valid points, but there's a lot of factors, and that's what we're trying to gather from all of you to sit here so that once we close this hearing, we'll have a discussion and we'll cast the vote on it. But we can't look at hypotheticals. If now we close it and all of a sudden you want to sit down with him, hire Attorney Pelosi to come and sit down and try, absolutely. Then you could come back and say, hey, look, what if we do? But we can't do that now because that's not before us. And it's not meant to be disrespectful. We understand your point, but you also got to understand that gentleman's point. I'm sure he paid a very, very high penny for this property to overlook the nice, beautiful terrain and everything, just like you did. And you don't want it in your front yard. Well, he doesn't want it in his either, even though it might not be on his property. So, you know, hopefully you guys can work something out. You know, I that's not our business to do. Hopefully you can, but if not, you know, we gotta just look at what's presided in front of us, and, you know, that's all I can really say. So if you're done, you know, does anybody else have anything they wanna add from either the public, anybody on the board, anybody else? All right, let the record show there's no further questions from the board or public. At this time, I call for a motion to close this application. I get a second?
Public,
Second.
public.
Oh, public, I'm sorry, the public hearing. Just state for the record who seconded it.
I did Jason Edwards for the record, I guess.
Okay.
Jason Edwards for the record, second.
All right, so at this time, I call for a motion to move to,
Do we have to vote on?
well, we can, we do have
Deliberations
it's closed
first.
out now, so we can discuss whatever you're gonna wanna do on this. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has any questions among us, everybody?
No, I'm pretty good. Yep.
All right, at this time, I motion to vote. Anybody second?
Second.
Who?
Mark, when you're voting, yes or no, with a reason.
Right, you have to state a reason, correct, yep. Yeah, it's not anything that's on there.
All right, you want me to go first?
If you like, yeah.
John Allen, I'm gonna decline the application. I think that there's other places these, solar panels could be put onto, property 8, that won't interfere with lot 9 or have any, effect on lot 6. So my decision is not to, pass this.
John?
John Prazo, I vote no, because of no hardship evidence.
Jason Edwards, I'm a professional land surveyor in the state of Connecticut, licensed, and the owner of a civil engineering firm. I think 6 engineers on my staff. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I think this is 100% a buildable lot. I don't think there's any hardship here, and honestly, I think the map is incorrect too, but I vote no. Thank you.
Len Livonia, also vote no for lack of demonstrating any hardship.
Mark Kane, I also agree with Len DeBono's, as far as not finding any hardship. At this time, I take a vote for who's in favor. Let the record show nobody. I take a vote for who's denied, or a motion to deny. All in favor to deny?
Aye.
I'll second, Len Livonia, second.
Okay, all in favor for denying?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That woman just listened. All right. So I open a public hearing number 25-0313-ZC 1021 Roxbury Road, Southbury, Connecticut. The Church of Latter-day Saints, owner, Mr. Dean Pushler. Is anybody even here? Oh. Landscape architect, applicant, representing an owner, seeking
Mark,
approval.
He did say, I'm sorry, Mr. Pushler did say that he was available over the phone, so if you want me to, reach out to him, the number's on the application and
If for some reason there's a question,
we can.
Oh, right, so we don't need to.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
straightforward, but if any of the commissioners feel there's a question that they need answers, that's an avenue to get it done. However, the application's straight.
Okay. Where was I now? Seeking approval for installation of a freestanding sign to increase visibility of an existing special exception property within a residential zone per section 7.2.1.g. With regard to the location of the signs, the church facility is not changing. However, the addition of a sign requires site development plan review and approval. Site plan provided with application. So at this time, I ask any officers that are, have all reviewed the current application? Is everybody?
Second, yeah, I did, yes.
All right, so everybody has. Is there anybody that needs to excuse themselves from this application?
No.
Let the record show nobody needs to be excused. Well, who's the secretary here anyways? Because we were supposed to ask for correspondence before on this. So do we have all the correspondence for all this? Okay, so the correspondence have been submitted. The applicant is not present, but he is available by phone if we do have any questions. Any board members have any questions pertaining to this application?
John Perazzo, I have one question. Did Public Works review their plans to make sure there's no site view issues with the intersecting roads that they have?
Public Works did not get an opportunity to look at this. Their requirement is a 200-foot sight line, and given the setbacks of the required sign and where it's being placed, there shouldn't be any sightline issues. It's quite visible from the entrance and exit of that site.
Even coming down that hill, that's the only concern that I had, really, was just making sure that.
At the
that-
intersection of
Yeah, New
South
Britain and.
South Britain and Roxbury Road?
Correct.
So making the left turn. Heading-
Making the right turn from South Britain onto,
Roxbury Road?
yeah, Roxbury, because there's a little hill there, so when you make that right, if that sign's too high or it's placed maybe just a couple inches too far to the right, it could block someone's view and cause accidents, especially with just a stop sign there.
From that perspective, Public Works has not reviewed this. If that's something this commission deems necessary in order to move forward, we can absolutely get that correspondence from them.
Is that a state road?
Yeah,
It is.
So it should get DOT probably reviewed.
This is a
with the
state road,
condition.
correct?
Yeah.
Both are, actually.
Yeah, so it should be.
But
maybe-
I don't understand where he's seeing, if you're coming from South Britain, are you saying?
Yeah, so,
So you'd be making a right on Roxbury to head towards Route 6?
correct.
All right,
Yeah, I
but
believe
coming
so.
down that, because I used to live right up the street,
Yeah.
as you come down that, it curves this way. The hindrance, I personally, I mean, I'm not gonna vouch for it, but I personally don't see that being the site, and I've driven that in many types of different vehicles, motorcycles, triaxles, tandem axles, cars, everything. And there's already an existing sign there, correct?
It's a four-way intersection, so thinking further from a traffic view visibility perspective in the location that has been brought up as a concern, you're looking straight at the cars in your intersection.
Yeah.
More or less is
essentially,
the
yeah.
case. I understand the position you're coming from. I think that's most important when we're talking entry and exit from a site, because there's
Yep.
no traffic pattern there that's established by signals or signage. In that instance, the onus is on the driver to generate that sight line and then hop into traffic. Because of the established stop signs, that requirement
sufficient
isn't
enough.
there,
You
so.
have to stop. You
Yeah,
gotta come to
yeah,
a
I just
stop.
wanna make sure,
It's not
you
like
know.
a pass-through.
I think it's a very
Right.
valid question, though, and
Yeah.
if, in the future, we will absolutely want to, get
It's actually
correspondence
back far
from
enough. That shouldn't, I mean,
the necessary department.
Going up. Okay.
there's a sign set back here too, which they meet,
Yeah.
so I feel like that's probably, meets the intent.
Yeah. Do you think, yeah, that was my only concern, but I think if the commission is comfortable with it, and I believe they've established that, so I'm comfortable not needing any additional review on that, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm good with it too.
This time I ask any board members have any further questions? Let the record show none. Let's see here. I'm asking at this time, anybody in the public that is in favor? Let the record show there's nobody in favor. Is there anybody from the public that's not in favor? Let the record show nobody is here with the not in favor. So at this time, I motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
John Allen, second that.
There you go. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let the record show all in favor. All right. Is there anything that we need to discuss? Motion for a vote? Do I have a
No.
second?
Second, John Allen.
All right.
The motion for a vote, Mark, was for approval or denial?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Approval.
Yeah. Motion for approval. All in favor?
And
Or,
John-
well, actually, we all
I'll-
gotta go through it all?
I'll
John, you're
second that
second.
approval.
Thank you.
So we don't have to go through, if, to have everybody say if they approve or deny on this one?
This is
Yeah.
a site plan, so you don't have to state on the record your reason for approval, because it's not a variance you're approving.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. So there you go. So
Yep.
you second.
Yeah, I second it.
Thank you, John.
All right, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show we're all in favor. It's approved. All right. Any, old business, unfinished business?
I'm sorry? Oh.
The one on your table is the NVCOG referral report. That's just a correspondence.
I'm sorry?
On your on the table, there's a NVCOG referral report.
Okay.
It's the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. They requested that all land use boards receive this correspondence. It's a pretty standard operating procedure from them, and you are a land use board, so this is being provided to you through correspondence.
And has every member been provided with this, or is it just need, okay, so everybody can state that they've received it? Aye?
Did we get that in the email? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was in the email.
Yeah, okay. Is there any Well, that's unfinished, but any new business besides, we have the, application we have accepted electronically. Any correspondence needed to be mentioned?
No, just have your minutes to be approved from our February 4th meeting.
Or any staff reports, anything? Okay. We need to do the approval for February 4th, 2025, the minutes. Has any board member that was not present here gone and read the minutes online?
Yes.
So everybody's familiar with the minutes? All right, do we approve the minutes? I motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Len LeBonnier, second.
Okay. Any new bills, accounts receivable, or anything?
No.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Let the record show we're all in favor.
Yep, right on to number 4 bills.
Bills, nothing.
Nothing.
Bills, none.
All right.
But now we'll go to the number 5 item,
Any
which
other,
is,
what's that, I'm sorry?
which is the business coming properly to the commission, which is what I talked to you about with regards to the change in the time request, given that Southbury is going into a 4-day week on a pilot program basis. So starting June 1st, we'll be working from Monday through Thursday and closed on Fridays. And given that Wednesdays would be our longest day, and I have spoken with the other commissioners as well, and requesting if it is possible to move commission meetings on Wednesdays, given that we are here on Wednesdays and our new zoning enforcement officer comes from Stratford. So she doesn't have to go back and then come back within the hour for a meeting later on that day.
So like
So,
Wednesday, like
Wednesdays, so move our-
afternoons?
no, Wednesday at 6:30 maybe,
Okay.
since we're here till 6 o'clock. On Wednesdays, we could do, I was speaking with Mark, and I think, Mark, you suggested 6:30 might be better than 6 o'clock, or,
This is a
Is-
simple request for accommodation.
Yeah, I think Friday at like 1 o'clock would be good.
Friday,
You guys just wanna go to the beach, that's all it was. I think,
All volunteers.
yeah,
No, we appreciate that. Thanks.
So frankly, whatever date works best for the commission, ultimately, we're gonna follow through with.
Yeah.
So this isn't something that we're kind of imparting as a need on you guys. If for some reason everyone's schedules can jive and this can work, great. If not, we understand. And you guys kinda, and your role comes first.
well, I think if we move it earlier, I think we should put a vote on that, we get Miranda's Pizza or something, you know, so that this way we can at least eat dinner.
It's a billable expense.
Yeah, something, I mean,
over there.
you know, I like seltzer water and, you know.
Salsa water.
Honestly, all joking aside, I don't have a problem with it. I think as long as the room's available for Wednesday, I think 6:30 is actually better personally for me. It allows me to get my home responsibilities in check and then be able to be here. I don't think I want any later than that. I think 6 o'clock might be too early for me. I don't know how anybody else feels.
6:30 is good.
I mean,
6:30.
I'd be willing to, you know, I say we give it a shot at 6:30. 7 actually really works well for me. I'll try and do for 6:30, but as long as we can agree, if for some reason it's not 6:30, if, I understand your predicament. Yeah,
Later is better.
yeah, for
always.
we
me.
can do Wednesday at 7 if you want that. We have other commissions meeting
Well,
at
why don't
7
we
as well.
try 6:30, as long
Yeah.
as the room's available?
Yep. the
And we'll
room is-
see for the next couple, and if for whatever reason it's difficult, I'm single parent, cooking dinner, doing, you know what I mean? So it's really, and I finish my day usually at 5. So if, I'll give it a shot for 6:30, but just as long as if we can be in agreement that if for
It's,
that's,
and Mark, again, like Jordan said, if this is, we don't want to put an imposition on you. So if 7 o'clock is better, it's okay, because we're here till 6. Or,
no, actually Wednesdays
No,
work better
Wednes-
for me.
yeah.
I mean, as far as that, because it's the middle of the week, I can organize and I got 2 days to, you know, pull my hair out instead of just one. And, you know, but no, I
So
think
we- yeah.
trying 6:30 at first is fine, you know?
Whatever you guys wanna do is fine with me.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, coffee, maybe, you know.
Now, we have a number of commissions that are shooting for Wednesday.
Yep.
Did we decide whether or not this commission could get first, second, or third?
yeah, so you will be the first Wednesday, so just like you're the first Tuesday right now, you would be the first Wednesday
That's good.
instead, and so it'll be 6:30, the first Wednesdays of the month.
Yeah, not only that, it actually gives you guys an extra day to get the email out to us for all our. that was met in all true love. Yeah, I say, if we're all in favor, sure, I am.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so we'll
so
go
first
for,
Wednesdays of the month at 6:30, okay.
And then if at any time this, if we can't get quorums, we're hitting friction, really the timing isn't working out,
we'll move it to Friday at 1 o'clock.
we'll move to Friday at 1 o'clock. This can always be readdressed, and again, you guys come first. If this can be made as an accommodation and everything works together, wonderful. If not, I can't state it enough. You guys are the volunteers here, we serve you.
All right, so all in favor to move to our meeting for Wednesday?
No, you have to make a motion.
Oh, I make a motion to move our meetings from 7 PM on Tuesdays, the first week of the month, to the first Wednesday of the month at 6:30. All in favor? Aye. Let the record show all five.
Who seconded the
I'll
motion?
second. Jason Edwards.
But how does that now, here, actually, I motion to close the hearing.
Second. Yep, third that.
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.